So let us discuss the question. I think the most interesting part of this is, what does the Nico Harrison pink slip do for the Mavericks fan base? So on this one, I've got commercial airline pilot, eBay, and President Obama. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some Tex-Mex, which is not as good as the traditional American Mexican food, but it's fine. Tex-Mex is okay, whatever. All right, so my word, to answer the question, what does the firing of Nico Harrison do to the fan base? My word is therapeutic. Obviously, right? Healing wounds. You know how like a dog will come up to you if you have a cut on your leg and lick the wound? This is the licking of the wound is what this is here. We're talking about months and months of bottled up rage. Bottled up rage. Finally letting out that primal scream as the news came down into the void. As Nico Harrison is done, decommissioned, the fans doing the sports version of no justice, no peace. They got no justice. They gave no peace. They were bloodthirsty. They were on the warpath. And sure enough, the day of reckoning has arrived. And make no mistake about this, Nico Harrison was a self-made man. He was self-made man. He became, because of the moves he made, a basketball antichrist in Dallas. Congratulations, Nico. Way to go, buddy. Now, he does have some friends in the media. I've seen a bunch of people trying to defend Nico Harrison. Oh, it's not all on him. Blah, 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 blah. See, the thing is, it's not just the Luka trade. There's other stuff involved in this. Yeah, the Luka trade was not all him, but there's other layers to the cake. So there's other stuff going on here. But the rhythmic chanting, fire Nico, fire Nico, was louder than the defensive chants. You know how you go to an NBA game, if you've ever been to one, and there's always at some point, and they do the rhythmic chant of defense, that kind of thing. It was louder. He provided, Nico Harrison, the voodoo boogaloo. He provided that. Front office malfeasance by Nico. Harrison's hubris, that's the right word there. He took a team that, granted, it was a bit of a fluke run, but they had been in the NBA Finals, Dallas, against the Celtics. And he said, you know what? I don't like that. No, I'm not going to do that. And so they're in the NBA Finals, got smoked by the Celtics, and he's, let's turn this into the NBA's version of a staled economy. Okay, fine. We'll vaporize anything good that ever happened while I was the executive in Dallas. Check that box. And as the saying goes there, you can be a commercial airline pilot, one of the great pilots. You can have thousands of hours in the sky and land every single plane. Do a tremendous job. On-time pilot. However, if you crash one of those planes, they're not talking about all the planes that you landed. You know what I'm saying? Okay, anyway, you're remembered for something else. But Nico did the thing you can't do at the time you can't do it, and everyone knows this. You're supposed to build on a championship team, build up an empire in that era. You don't go in there and torch it. You don't do that, and gutting whatever was there was not there at that particular point. And so the Luka thing's one part of it. It's obviously the biggest part of it, but he also fired some popular people behind the scenes, support staff with the Mavericks. There was a story that has been well publicized about a longtime staffer for the Mavericks who was in the training staff that got let go. Loyal people, loyal foot soldiers for the Dallas Mavericks who got let go. You can't treat people like that and expect that the basketball gods are going to bless you. So this was a bit of a karmic correction, as our astrology insider Andrea would say. And I know there's a cosmic event going on right now, but they sent Nico Harrison straight to the hoops hoosgow is what they did there. Finally, some peace in Dallas. Now, page 2. Continuing the theme. So the other question that's on the tip of my tongue here, how much blame for the Luka Dončić trade does the Mavericks owner, this guy Patrick Dumont, how much does he deserve backing Nico Harrison in the Luka boner, the blunder, the blooper, however you want to call it, whatever B word. Blunder, blooper, boner, all good words, all good descriptive words. They all work. So on the MALLER scale of blame, the owner gets 60%. 60%. Harrison gets 40%. And here's why. All right? The owner always has final edit. It's like when you make a movie. You hire the greatest people to make the movie you can possibly make. But ultimately, there's one person that has the final edit, final cut. And that's the person that decides what's actually in the movie and what's not in the movie. And so they could have, as ownership, should have, would have, hit the kill switch on the Luka trade, could have stopped it, but didn't. So this was not just a rogue GM running around in the dark. You can trade a lot of players without ownership signing off on it. You cannot trade the face of the franchise. You're not going to be able to do that. So Dumont, if you look at it, he either rubber stamped the trade and said, okay, mazel tov, I support this. He encouraged it, but that's bad also. Or he was just asleep at the switch. Like, what else is there? Like, is there anything else? And so Nico Harrison, yeah, he might have lit the match. He might have lit the match there, but Patrick Dumont, the guy that's the owner of the Mavericks there, he's the one that owned the warehouse. So, I have no skin in the game. I don't. And, we're on in Dallas, and we got a few people that are contributors. I know a lot of people listening, but they very rarely call in. I wouldn't call in right now if I was a Dallas sports fan either because of how pathetic things are. But that said, like the vision I had for this trade, insurance fraud. You know what I'm saying? No? You feel me on that? All right, insurance. Let me explain. So you hear those insurance scams. It's like the Mavericks just torched their own warehouse to collect an insurance payout. I'm like, imagine in the cartoon bubble, you've got the owner of the Mavericks and Nico standing side by side with matching cans of unleaded gasoline and pretending like they don't smell the smoke that's billowing up from the fire. Oh, no. How did this happen? Oh, my. Hey, dummy, you lit the match, dummy. Yeah, you're the one that did that. So this was not a basketball decision. It was basketball arson is what it was. And they burned down the mansion that Luka was living in for the insurance payout. And now they're sifting through the rubble and the ashes. And it's like, then they have the chutzpah to say, the owner's like, we regret this. Oh, really? Well, isn't that convenient? You regret it. Okay. So you don't accidentally trade a player like you just don't. You don't trade a player of that ilk. That does not happen. And certainly you don't trade him for a brittle bag of bones, which is what you did, whose legs have the shelf life of cottage cheese. You did that. You're the ones that took that bounty back. And so, listen, it's intentional negligence is what it is. And after months of the rhetoric being from the Mavericks, well, Nico, we trust. In Nico, we trust the rhetoric. Suddenly, well, that was a mistake. Oh, really screwed that one up. Man, bad job by us. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding, pal. My God. Now, revisionist history for sure, considering what's been going on. Not a full year, but close enough. Right? Close enough. This happened in February, and now we're in mid-November. Now, the worst part, it keeps getting worse. It's like, how low can you go? The worst part is they didn't even shop Luka. Like, that's the part. It's one thing, well, you shouldn't trade him. Yeah, you shouldn't trade him. If you're going to trade him, okay, there's ways to do this, right? There are layers to this as well. There are ways to do this. You didn't do it right. You didn't put him on the auctioning block and say, okay, what can we get for this? Right? They didn't test the market. They should have put Luka on eBay and said, okay, we've got Luka right here. I'm going to put him up for bid. Opening bid is 7 first-round draft picks and a young star player. That's what we want. That's the opening bid. The buy now bid is 9 first-round draft picks and 3 young star players. That's the buy now bid. And they didn't do it. And you conceivably would have gotten a bidding war between teams like the Warriors, the Knicks, the Celtics, teams like that. So this becomes high crimes and misdemeanors for good old Nico there. And Nico Harrison, if this was like the military, he'd be court-martialed. And basketball treason, hand-delivering Luka Dončić with the help of the owner there, a generational player, an MVP caliber player, and you just handed him to the Lakers for a guy literally nicknamed Street Clothes because he doesn't like playing basketball. The only thing that would have been as good as that trade would have been if they traded for Kawhi Leonard, who also doesn't like playing basketball. They somehow missed that one. I'm surprised they didn't get Kawhi Leonard in return in that trade as well. My God. So this deal was so bad. How bad was it? Thanks for asking. It was so bad that you've got conspiracy theories saying that the Mavericks made this move. The Mavericks made this move intentionally as an act like the movie Major League. They tanked. They wanted to relocate the franchise, and they did this on purpose. They want to move the team to Sin City, Lost Wages, Nevada there. And it seems outrageous to some. It wouldn't shock me if that was somewhere in the decision-making process. It would not shock me. You follow the money. They're trying to get some casino stuff in Texas, and there's some bureaucracy involved in that, as I understand it. And so cash is always the king. And those bright neon lights in Lost Wages, Nevada, you've got this new toy, the billionaire's toy here. And so the Mavericks, listen, they can fire Nico Harrison. They fired Nico Harrison. However, you can't wash off the stain. You ever had an accident with oil and you get oil on your clothes and you can't get rid of the oil stain? Now, this is worse than that. This is Nico Harrison. And that was on his watch, and the owner signed off on it, but man alive. Whee! All right, now, last word. We continue our in-depth team coverage on the fallout of the firing of Nico Harrison as he was removed of his duties. So, question, let's go like this. So, should the Lakers send the Mavericks a thank you note for the Luka Dončić trade now that Nico Harrison has been whacked, given the guillotine? So, I'm going to go no way on a thank you note. I don't believe the Lakers should send a thank you note. Don't think that's the right way to handle this. That would be amateur. I think they should hand deliver this to Nico, because he's not working for the Mavericks. So just hand deliver it to Nico Harrison and give him a swag bag. Give him some ugly purple and gold polos. Give him some of that crap. Laker sunglasses that are overpriced and crappy and all that stuff. And a lifetime pass. How about this? If he ever wants to travel with the Lakers on the road as a fanboy, Nico can fly on the team plane for the rest of his life. Who says no? Nico essentially gave a franchise that was on death's doorstep, gave them a stimulus package. He did. He went President Obama bailing out the auto industry or the banking industry, right? And government-style bailout. Here you go, boys. Things are not going well. The Lakers, and this is an underrated part of this story, the Lakers were circling the drain. LeBron starting to show that he was old. He certainly has he played? He hasn't played this year. He's old. Or there's some conspiracy theories. I'm not going to get into that now about LeBron. I do enjoy a good conspiracy, but he's not playing. Whether there's something off the court or whether that's a basketball injury, he's not playing. There's also the possibility it's just load management, and they don't want to call it that, so they came up with a Fugazi injury and whatever. That's fine. But LeBron's not playing. He's not available. Anthony Davis is made of paper mache, as we've seen with the Mavericks. And then out of nowhere, Luka parachutes into the jungle like he's on a rescue copter to save the day. And so they should, forget a swag bag, they should build a statue a Nico Harrison statue right next to Jerry West, the two great executives in Laker history, right there. Skid Row bronze, baby, right there in Skid Row, so all the homeless can urinate right on that statue right there for the Maverick fans. They could do it. And you can throw flowers and chocolates in there if you want. You can do that. And, flowers from the heart, of course, and the chocolates say, we love you for saving the TV ratings and saving the franchise and all that. So one-sided. The trade's so one-sided. You think Vince McMahon, I know he's fallen out of polite society, but you think like Vince McMahon is back and he's like running the NBA. He's like the shadow commissioner of the NBA, and cue that entrance music, the dramatic entrance music. And Luka walks in, the ratings spike. Everyone's back watching, which is not necessarily true, but it's a WWE-style move. It's a WWE-style move. Dallas face plants. The Lakers rise from the ashes. And Nico Harrison, the unwitting tag team partner who handed them the belt. There you go. Fade to black. They should retire his number. Well, he doesn't have a number. They should retire number 1 is what they should do. They should retire number 1 because that is a number 1 blunder in the social media era.